Hi everybody, this is Ellen. In this tutorial I'm going to show you how to make the Happy Cupcake. I think it turned out super cute. Little peak at the top and perfect little tiny size. I'll show you about the size of the snow cones. So they're close. They look adorable. This is just the flower that I'd made on the finger loom that I attached to it for a little pizzazz. I think it's super cute. I'm really excited. And band-wise, it's not horrible, so that's always a good thing. The top portion here, which is all my blue, is 190, and then the bottom portion, the white, is the 110, so the liner there. And then of course 1 to 3 black bands depending on what you use for the eyes. I'm going to use the 4mm by 7mm pony beads, and then the 2 bands for the cheeks. So super cute. I love him. Her. So we'll get started. And first we'll go over the eyes and the cheeks. So if you're going to use the pony beads, you're going to want those, not that one. Bad shape. Those, and if you're not going to use the pony beads, you're going to want a band for a wrapped eye band. And then you also want the bands that you're going to use for your cheeks. So, and then whatever color you want to use for the top of your cupcake. So if you do the beaded eye bands, you're going to need to find a way to thread the center of your band. So you're going to want a piece of craft wire or string, thread, any floss or anything that you can get into a V shape. Take 2 bands that are the color of your cupcake, put them down into the center, and then thread them through the center of your bead. Pull them down to the center, and then take out your tool, and then you have a beaded eye band. And I actually need to make both of mine. I'm so excited to share that I forgot to prepare the other half of her face. So, I notice I have a little twist of my wire there. Ta-da! So beaded eye bands, and if you're not going to use the beads, you can still have the eyes that just be a wrapped band. So it'll be 1 band, whatever color you want your eye to be, put it on your hook, wrap it around 1 time into a figure 8, grab both the bands and then pull them around 1 more time, and then pull through 2 bands that are the color of the top of your cupcake. Slide them down through the eye band to the center, and that would be a wrapped band eye band. So you need 2 of those if you do it that way. And then you have the cheeks. They're made the same way as the eyes. So whatever color you want your cheeks to be, on the hook, wrap it around into the figure 8, grab both bands, wrap them around again, and then pull through your 2 bands that are the color of your cupcake. The top portion. So that would be my cheek bands. And make the other one real quick. So you need 2 of them for the cheeks. And that's really all the prep we need to do. This is of course on 1 loom. So, get started. Bands I'm using this time are the pastel ones from Rainbow Loom. Technically there's 2 shades of pink here, but they're so close that I just couldn't bring myself to sort through them all, so it's going to be kind of a little multicolored one. But then the other one for the bottom liner portion of the cupcake, I'm just going to use the yellow. Pastel yellow. But you can use any colors you like. I like this one too. So first we're going to start 2 bands. Everything will be double banded unless I say differently. So 2 bands. And kind of worked in the middle of your loom here because we do expand quite a bit. So 2 bands here, and then 2 bands right here. And then 2 more bands, and we're going to make a cat band on top of this. And I'm going to wrap it around 3 times. So 1, try that again, 1, 2, and 3. Then we'll take our hook, go in through the cat band, grab the top 2 bands, and loom them out towards themselves. And go into the other side. It looks like this right now. Kind of a little arrow. So now we're going to do a row. It's a little kind of squishy, but we'll make it work. Again, 2 bands. And go right across. And another 2 bands. And to kind of make it easier, or maybe a little easier, make sure you push your bands down a little bit. Go around where our cap band is. And then bring it back to this side. So basically we're just kind of going around our center here. And we do it this kind of weird way because when we expand it's easier, but you should have 8 bands on the side of your pin, 4 from below and 4 from the top on each side. So you're going to actually take the bottom 4 and flip them over the top and do the same thing on the other side. Like that. Now we need to expand. So what we're going to do is if you take the top 2 bands, pull them up, and the top 2 bands over here, and pull them up here. So now it looks like this. And they shouldn't be crossed. It's kind of hard to tell, but these bands should be kind of straight across from each other now. Now we're going to do another row. So 2 bands. We're going to go around the outside of our little square here. We do a lot of expanding, so if you follow my banding pattern where I start and where I go around, it will be much easier if you're not familiar with the expanding. So just keep that in mind as you're going. Just like that. So now all the way around you're going to have 2 bands underneath to flip over the top, leaving the 4 bands on the pin. So do that all the way around. Push your bands down. And now we're going to expand again, and we're actually going to expand all 4 pins. So this pin right here, if you followed my banding that I did, all you need to do is grab the top 2 bands, take them off the pin, and pull them up here. So now these are not this band that comes around this way, and this one that's on this pin comes down here. They're not crossed in there at all. The rest of these, it's a little different story. We actually need to go in, grab all the bands on the pin, take them off the pin, pull them up above, then go back, grab the top 2 bands that are on this pin now, lift them up, and bring them back to the pin they were on. So if you look at this band goes from these 2 pins right here. Now you do the same thing for these 2 down here. We just bring them down instead of up. So all the bands, take them off the pin, stretch them down, grab the top 2 bands, lift them up, bring them back to where they were. So now this band right here is between these 2 pins. We're going to do the same thing over here. All the bands, lift them up, pull them down, grab the top 2, take them off, and bring them back to where they were. So now looking at this, all the bands that are on the pins are kind of separated from each other. So you want to make sure you have that. We just don't want any crossing because it kind of makes a mess. So once you have that, we're going to do a row all the way around. 2 bands. I'm going to start down here and go around. Yeah, I was really excited when I really like the pastel bands. They're very pretty, but I don't like sorting them, so it's getting through and almost done, and I'm like, God, there's so many more pink than the other colors, and it was because they were 2 shades. So now you should have this all the way around. Now you're going to have to flip the bottom 2 bands on all the pins, leaving 4 bands again on the top. So let's do that all the way around. And I debated whether I would go back and actually sort them out, but I couldn't quite bring myself to it, so, because it's a lot, and it's so hard to see, and you have to have like bright light and give you a headache. And push your bands down. So now what we're going to do is expand the 4 corners right here, and then that should be the last expanding for now, so be good news. Again, this pin up here, we can just grab the top 2 bands and bring them up. Then over here, and the other pins, we have to do the same thing. Grab all the bands, lift them up, pull them up above, grab the top 2 bands, and bring them back to the pin that they were on. And down here, same thing, all the bands off the pin, bring them down, grab the top 2 bands, and bring them back. Same thing on this side, all the bands, bring them down, top 2 bands, and back to the pin they were on. So again, the bands between this one aren't crossing anything. This band goes to this pin right here, but there's no crossing. And this one is, we didn't do any expanding, so nothing here. Band kind of by itself comes in and connects. So once you have that, we'll do another row around. 2 bands again, and I'm starting down here. But the sorting bands are not my favorite, but I mean, I kind of enjoy it. It's kind of like a compulsion to make them neat. But it takes a while and it's hard to do, and when I have so many other things I'm thinking of that I need to do, it's kind of like, oh, hurry up, I need to finish this now. So like that. So then on each side, there'll be 2 bands where we expanded at the top. In the middle, it's going to be 4 bands to go over, and then 2 bands on the bottom. 2 up here, here's 2, 4, 4, 2, and 2. And it'll be the same thing on the other side. So 2, 2, 4, 4, 2, and 2. And it's a little late, of course, but you can always add sprinkles to your cupcakes as well. I just kind of liked how they looked with the plain way, so I'm not adding any. Sorry, I will throw that in the beginning as a message. Hopefully you'll read it. So we've got that now. So now we're going to do our eye row, actually. And we're going to put our eyes right here. It's not totally centered, but the cupcake's round, so that works fine. So, 2 bands. I'm going to start down here, 2 bands up, and I'll put my eyes right here. Stretch them out. Next one. And then there'll be 2 bands all the way around the rest of it. Like that. And then it should be the bottom 4 all the way around to flip. like so. Push those down. Now is our cheek row. It's basically exactly like the eye row, except for we're going to put the cheeks right here. So 2 bands still. And our eyes, or our cheeks. I was looking at the eyes, wanting to say cheeks, but when you look at something and you're like, do you want to say something else? It's like when you call, well, for me, I call my kids the wrong names even when I'm staring right at them. So 2 bands all the way around the rest. I remember being a kid and my mom would do that to me and I'm like, I'm Ellen, not so-and-so, and what do you like? My mom would just be like, oh, come on, you know what I meant, or I had a sister and 3 brothers growing up, so we had a full house then too, but so like that. So you flip the bottom 4 all the way around again. It's not a very pretty band. One moment. Don't want to make any mistakes. You should have 4 left on all your pins around. Like so. Push everything down. We're going to add the mouth now. So whatever color you want the mouth to be, just take that band, put it on your hook, and wrap it around one time. And then right here between the cheeks, you're going to take your hook and remove the bands off this pin, slide down your mouth band, and then you put the bands back onto the pin that are on your hook. Like that. Now do a row all the way around with 2 bands. Always stinks to get a bad band, not so notice it right away. Then you have to think, should I leave it or fix it, or leave it or fix it? And generally, with the designs that I do, since most everything is double banded, if one breaks, it's not going to be the end of the world because the design will still stay together. But I guess I think of that off chance that something that both bands could end up breaking right where I didn't fix it and could have. So it's always better to just try if you can. So like that. And again, flip the bottom 4 all the way around. Like that. So now you can loosen these up. Go ahead and take your hook and kind of put them behind the pin, let things come up. Like that. Push everything down. So now we're at the point where we're going to do this little edge for the frosting on the cupcake. And because we want it to be bigger, and actually stand out, rather than like this one has an edge to it, but it's just it's 2 bands for both the rows, but obviously it doesn't really stand out. So we want it to stand out. So our first row around is actually going to be 3 bands in an X pattern. So take your 3 bands on the pin, twist them into an X. And we're going to do that all the way around. 3 bands. This is probably the only part that's kind of icky that we do this, because we actually kind of make the top layer and let it slide it on, but it's not too bad. You just got to take your time. That. Now we're going to just lay another row of bands on top of this. It'll be 2 bands this time, and what we're going to end up doing is looping our band row that we have these 3 on over the top after we put on our 2 row. So you can push these down a little bit. Like I said, this is kind of the only hard part or annoying part, because we have to be careful when we do our flipping later that our bottom 4, we leave those where they are. But for right now, 2 bands all the way around, just normal across. I actually love to make cupcakes. Kind of good at it, I guess. That's what people tell me. I think it's because I make them so elaborate that people are just like, oh my god, you fit all that on a cupcake. Especially my oldest son's scout troop. They're always asking me to supply cupcakes for their events, which is great because it's fun, gives me a little creative outlet and all that good stuff. But when they tell me that they want 100 cupcakes, and usually it seems they don't give me a whole lot of notice, so it's kind of can be a little bit of a tight race sometimes to make and decorate 100 cupcakes to the way that I do them anyways. So we have that cross row with the 3 bands, and then the 2 bands just normal all the way around. So now what you're going to do is we're going to leave the bottom 4 bands alone, but we're going to flip the middle 6 bands. So just that 3 row, flip them over the top, so then you're left with 8 bands total on your pin, but the 4 from the last row that we put on will be the ones on top. It can get a little tricky at times, just kind of seeing, especially between the difference between the top and bottom. Sometimes it helps just to go, okay, here's the top 3 I need to flip over, and then here's the bottom 3. Just kind of divide it up. However it's easiest for you. But just so you end up with the 8 bands on the pin. At one point when I was making this, I actually put it on first, so we wouldn't have to do this kind of in between, trying to find the 3 bands to put over. But that was horrible, so I had to go through all the looming up above without trying to catch those bands that you have hiding at the bottom. That was definitely a lot worse than just kind of dealing with it right now. And I've done other designs that have this kind of transition type row in there. It's just usually there aren't 6 bands to flip. There we go. So again, check your bands. Make sure that you just have the top 4 left on all the pins. And like this one, I do not. Sometimes it's easier, I think, to undo the row to find out figure out what band it is that you missed flipping over, than to just try and guess which one. That's better. Alright. So now we have that. So now what we're going to do is we're actually going to kind of slide the little ruffle edge row onto the bands that are already on the pin, the 4 from below. And how we do that is we go through the top 4 bands on our pins, we grab the bottom 4 bands, pull them up through the top 4, keep them on your hook, slide our little ruffle edge off, and then everything that's on your hook goes back onto the pin. So where you want to really make sure you get the 4 back on there. So always check that before you move on, because I've missed a few times myself, and I'm still able to save it pretty easily by just kind of doing it right then and there when it happens, instead of coming back or pulling on other bands. Then it's harder to find it. But we're just going to go through the top 4, grab the bottom 4, pull them up through, slide the bands that are left off the pin, and then the ones that are on your hook go back onto the pin. And we're going to do that all the way around. A few more. There we go. Again, just go around real quick, make sure you have the 4 bands left. So if you're doing a lot of the moving in transitions, it's easy to lose one. Alright. So now we have this. This is actually the whole entire top of our cupcake. So now we need to go down and start working on the liner. So now we're going to do another not so fun thing, but we need to grab our liner bands, and we are going to puff out all the pins, all the bands on the pins. And that's the worst of everything that we do, so pretty straightforward after that. But it's 2 bands, and you're going to take your hook, stick it through the bands that are on the pin, grab 2 bands, pull them up through, put both ends on your hook, pull the bands off the pin again, and then what's on your hook goes onto the pin. And you're going to do that all the way around. So through the bands, pull them up, both ends on your hook, and slide them down. Just do that all the way around. Sure hope everybody's still enjoying the happy foods. I noticed that some of the other channels are kind of backing away from looming, which is sad. I guess I kind of enjoy it, so I'm hoping that maybe all the diehards will come to my channel and they'll kind of loom with me still. So I think it's enjoyable and it's amazing. I think the things that you can create with just rubber bands. Because I definitely, if I would have still only thought I could make bracelets on the loom, it probably would have got old pretty quick. But being able to make the figures and things like that, and it's pretty cool. Pretty exciting. I seriously never thought I'd be doing anything like this at all. Like, I thought I was pretty good at the bracelets and had some pretty neat designs, and I'd look at the figures that people were doing and be like, and back then it was only really 2D stuff. Be like, no way, I can't do any of that. That's, I think I tried making one little teddy bear thing and it kind of looked like a little troll ogre thing, and I was like, nope, I'm no good at this. So, and many, many bands and practice sessions later, look at me now. Alright, so I have everything puffed out. If you want to, again, kind of give your center a little tug up, unhook from beyond those pins, get everything pushed down. So now we're going to do what I call the alternating double row. So we're going to start with 2 bands down here across the long stretch. And then right here will be 1 band doubled and on the pins. Then next will be 2 bands, then 1 band doubled, then 2 bands again, 1 band doubled, then 2 bands, 1 band doubled, two bands, 1 band doubled, try that again, and 2 bands, and another band doubled. So like that. So we'll go ahead and we'll flip over the bottom 4, which are the puffing bands. Flip those over the top. There's a lot of times that it's usually kids. They send me pictures of the things that they've made, and they usually say something like, well, it's not as good as what you did, or it was a fail, or things like that. And I look at them and I'm like, that's amazing, especially, you know, I've had years of practice crafting over some of the kids that are sending me these DMs and messages and emails and stuff, and I'm just like, it's fantastic what you did. That's, you know, it's not a fail, and Even if it doesn't look exactly like what I did, doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with it. I mean, that's how we make the variations and things. So, alright, so now we're going to just do a row round with 2 bands. So I never really think of anything as a fail because I always figured that they're not quite how I pictured it in my head of how it was going to turn out. Because every time that I make something and it's not how it turned out, I do keep very good notes on every row that I make and every add-on and expansion and increase and decrease, and that's how I teach myself what works and what didn't for the design I was going for. So like that. Then you'll flip around the bottom 4 bands. Those fruit flies, I swear I've decided they're just going to wait until they die, because I tried putting out the little tray of sugar water, and I think the other one was it vinegar or something? I can't even remember now. But it's like, there's one that was like, it's on my desk, and I was like, ha, you died, totally. So I'm getting ready to go over and clean it up and get close, and all of a sudden, like, although it was belly up and looked like it was all distorted, and get over there, and it's like, gets up and flies off. This next row is going to be 2 bands around again. It was just like messing with me. So we're going to have to live in peace until they outlive their short lifespan, so I guess if we can call that peace. It's very frustrating because I like to keep a clean house, and these little boogers won't go away. So like that. Flip the bottom 4 again. Anyways, I think it's great. A lot of the pictures I get and the kids that just need a little reminder that they're doing pretty awesome, exactly how they're working on it, so looking pretty sweet. So our next row is again going to be that alternating double row, and we'll start down here with the 2 bands and then a 1 band single, or 1 band doubled. Then 2 bands, and 1 band, 2 bands, 1 band doubled, 2 bands, 1 band doubled, 2 bands, 1 band. On those fruit flies, I never even think about them until I'm filming because they are attracted by my bright lights. So that's when they come around and annoy me. Alright, so now we have this. So again, we'll flip over the bottom 4 all the way around. So then of course I think of them now when I'm filming and everybody's watching, and I'm like, they're like, oh my god, she's got fruit flies or what's going on over there. But I swear to you, despite having 4 children, I keep a clean house. I can't live in, gotta vacuum like every day, wipe down the counters, oh, everything's gotta be clean. Otherwise we get sick, and then that is no fun. Especially a 1.5-year-old who can't blow her nose yet, and it just sticks in her hair. And alright, so now we're going to close this. I'm going to use a latch hook to close it. You can also make a long threading band with basically slip knotting a bunch of bands together, or even making a single chain to pull up through all your bands around. Like I said, I'm going to use the latch hook, but because these are doubled bands and then the 2 bands, it will get tight and I'll end up snapping another band again like I did in my cup video. So to fix that, I'm going to bring these bands closer so that when I come around to the far end, there will not be as much tension over here. So all I'm going to do is go in and grab these 4 bands, or technically 3, but grab all the bands off this pin. I'm going to pull them down to this pin, to the 3rd pin down. I'm going to do the same thing with the corner. I'm going to flip these over first to the other side of the pin. But then I'm going to grab these bands, I'm going to pull them down too. So I just have them like that. So now when we come around to hook them, instead of sticking my hook straight down to pull them off, I'm going to actually have to come and hook them under the bottom so that I don't get a little twist right here, but I'll show you what I mean when I get around to that side. So latch hook, awesome little tool. Oh, I should tell you, I know that not everybody will see this, but I still get people who tell me that they're cutting bands while they're using the latch hook. That's coming from, if you have bands that are placed right behind the latch and then you're closing the latch, or getting the latch closed down in there, that's where that's coming from. So you have to be careful as you're pulling bands. Like say you have some right here on the hook and you want to pull some more down or something like that, make sure that your latch is not coming down right on top of those, because that will cause them to snap and cut. So, little tip. Just wasted a perfectly good band. Alright, so I'm going to go start back in this corner, take my hook, and just start pulling these bands off as I go around. Alright, now when I get to here, instead of taking my hook and going down, I'm going to come up from the bottom and go that way. So it creates a little less of a twist right here. I'm going to take 2 bands, pull them through my cupcake bottom. Both ends on my hook. I'm going to kind of spread this out a little bit before I close it. It has a better looking bottom. Make sure you stay on the right side. Then I'll close it. Pull tight. And then hide my tail. Get on my hook. Alright, so you want to take your cupcake and kind of give it a good stretch at the top portion. If you start squeezing it, and if you made it like mine, if you squeeze it, you should see the little row of bands in there. That's from the very first portion that we did. If you grab a hold of those and pull them up, that's where our little swirl comes from. Like so. Fix its mouth. Super cute. I think it's adorable. Stay up. Making me look bad. There we go. Super cute. Like I just said a second ago. I think they are awesome. I hope that you agree. I know everybody's been wanting one for a while, so just kind of getting there, and I'm always working on something for everyone, so that's always, don't think I'm ever not listening or that I'm not seeing the comments you write or the things that you want, because I'm, making sure that I make the things that you enjoy, but also making things that I enjoy, that I feel that I'm ready to make and share, because I certainly don't want to put something together and be like, yeah, you should totally like this, and there's no effort or it doesn't look how I really want it, but I'm just putting it out, because you guys have asked for one. I really want to make sure that I enjoy and I'm proud of what I put out, so, which I am. These are cute. So, I want to thank you guys very much for watching. I definitely appreciate it. I hope you continue to stick with me in my looming obsession. I definitely do not plan to stop anytime soon. I know that I've been throwing out a few other tutorials on things every once in a while, but I'm still making sure that the looming ones are my priority, and if I can just share some of the other things that I enjoy doing as well, I think that that's cool too, because a lot of people, like the one I just shared, the paper crafting one, a lot of people hadn't really ever known about that, and I think it's cool that now they're pretty interested in it, and there's lots of cute things to make. So, but thank you again for watching. If you make some of these awesome little cupcakes, or these adorable little cupcakes, then you definitely should share them with me on my Instagram, which is at Crafting Fantastic, or on my Facebook page, which is Crafting Fantastic or feelinspiffy. Both should find me. The links are underneath the video. And then, of course, if you subscribe to my channel, you can still continue to loom along with me. I would very much appreciate that, because it's kind of, looming is much funner when you have people to do it with, even if they're not here with you and I'm just talking to myself, but you know what I mean. But thank you very much for watching, and I will have more for you soon.